On draft night, the same labels followed Kon Knueppel everywhere. Safe pick, high floor, NBA ready. And in draft language, that usually means one thing: good player, limited ceiling. Not the guy who bends a defense, and not the player who starts breaking shooting records before the season is even old enough to settle in. But that's exactly what happened. Because Kon Knueppel did not arrive in the NBA as the loudest prospect in his class. He wasn't the freakest athlete, he wasn't the most hyped scorer, and he definitely wasn't the player people built their biggest future of the league debates around. Charlotte took him 4th overall out of Duke in the 2025 draft after a freshman year where he averaged 14.4 points on 47.9% shooting, 40.6% from 3, and 91.4% from the line, while earning all ACC honors and ACC tournament MVP. That resume screamed elite shooter, but it didn't fully warn the league what was coming next. And that's what makes this story so crazy. Kon Knueppel became the NBA's deadliest shooter because every step of his rise was hidden behind a description that sounded smaller than the truth. He was supposed to be dependable, but he became destructive. To understand how that happened, you have to go back before Duke, before Charlotte, and before the rookie records. Back to Milwaukee. That's where the story starts. Kon grew up in a basketball family in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and even a basic look at his background makes the path make sense. Basketball was already in the house. The game wasn't something he stumbled into later. It was part of the environment from the start. And by the time he got to Wisconsin Lutheran, he was already turning that background into real production. He wasn't just a good shooter on a solid high school team. He became the centerpiece of one of the best seasons in the state. Wisconsin Lutheran went 30-0, won the Division II state title, and Knueppel finished the year as Wisconsin Mr. Basketball. He wasn't just skilled, he was efficient, controlled, and productive inside winning basketball. The shooting was the headline, but the bigger point was that his teams kept functioning at a high level around him, and that's what made him more than just a local scorer. By the end of high school, he was not just known as the guy who could really shoot it. He looked like one of the most polished players in the country, and the kind of prospect whose game would translate because it was built on feel as much as talent. He already had the footwork, the discipline, and the understanding of space that made people trust his game. Still, high school dominance only gets you so far. The next stage was Duke. At Duke, the obvious challenge was attention. Kon stepped into a loaded roster that included Cooper Flagg, the player who drew most of the national oxygen. In that kind of setting, it is very easy for a great shooter to be reduced to one role. He could have become the guy people described as useful, efficient, and easy to plug in next to stars. But his freshman season showed more than that. He started all 39 games, he averaged 14.4 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. He shot 40.6% from 3 and 91.4% from the line. He made all ACC second team and ACC all freshman team. And when the pressure rose in the ACC tournament, he got even better, averaging 21 points over Duke's 3 wins and taking home the tournament MVP. This separated him from the "just a shooter" label long before the NBA did. Specialists can help. They don't usually take over the most pressurized stretch of a major conference tournament. Kon did. And once that happened, the story around him started to sharpen. He was no longer just a polished piece next to better athletes. He was becoming one of the clearest examples in his class of how dangerous real skill can be when it is paired with poise. And Duke also revealed something else. His shooting worked inside structure. He was playing within a real program, with real expectations, in a role that demanded discipline. He moved without the ball, he punished over helps. The game looked easy around him because he made it easier for the offense to breathe. By the time the season ended, the NBA already knew the jumper was real. The real question was, how much else is there in him? That question followed him into the draft. And Charlotte answered it with the 4th pick. The Hornets took him number 4 overall in 2025, betting that this feel, shooting gravity, and decision-making would translate quickly. At the time, it sounded like a good fit story more than a future star story. He was viewed as polished, stable, and reliable. The kind of player who would help a young team. What nobody really understood yet was how fast that help would turn into domination. Even in Summer League, the signs were already there. Kon helped Charlotte win the franchise's first title in Las Vegas and was named championship game MVP after scoring 21 points in the final. New level, bigger stage, same outcome. Then the regular season began, and the whole story accelerated. because this is where safe pick started sounding ridiculous. Kon did not enter the league playing like a rookie trying to survive possessions. He entered it playing like someone who already understood where the next pass should go, where the defense was weakest, and how much space he needed to punish them. And that is a huge difference, because deadly shooting is not just about being able to make shots in a gym. Plenty of players can do that. The dangerous ones are the players who know where the next shot is coming from before the defense does. Kon understood that immediately. As the season went on, the production became too big to ignore. By late February, he was back on the rookie ladder and was on pace to become the first rookie ever to join the 50-40-90 club. A week later, he was still leading the race while Charlotte climbed back to 500 during a 5-game winning streak. By March 18th, he was leading the entire NBA in made threes. Not rookies, everyone. That's the moment the story fully changes. Because once a rookie is leading the whole league in three-pointers made, you are no longer talking about a nice young shooter. You are talking about a player whose best skill is already warping NBA defenses, and the numbers make that impossible to shrug off. As of late March, he was averaging 18.9 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 3.4 assists while shooting 48.4% from the field. This was not a one-dimensional heater. Kon wasn't just standing in the corner waiting for kickouts. He was producing like a real perimeter assassin. He was rebounding in his position. He was making enough passes to keep the defense honest. The shooting was the headline, but the complete offensive package is what made the headline believable. Then came the records. On February 27th, he broke Keegan Murray's NBA rookie single-season record for made threes, reaching 207 in just 59 games. Murray needed 80 games to set that mark. Kon didn't just break the record, he blew past the schedule attached to it. And by March 11th, he had already reached 224 threes through 64 games and was on pace for 280 or more. One of the greatest mistakes people make with shooters is thinking the shot exists on its own. It doesn't. Great shooting needs timing, spacing, trust, and teammates who understand how to play off each other. Charlotte had LaMelo Ball creating pressure before Kon even touched the ball. Brendan Miller gave the team another wing defenses had to respect. Miles Bridges added a downhill scorer. And once these pieces started playing together consistently, the spacing changed everything. Charlotte's offense had room to breathe, and Kon's shooting became the thing that punished every defense. Help too hard on LaMelo, and the ball swings to Knueppel. Stay glued to Knueppel, and the large lanes open somewhere else. That is what deadly shooting does. It doesn't just give you points, it changes the geometry of the floor. And the craziest part is that this was happening while the Hornets were becoming one of the best turnaround stories in the league. Charlotte started 4-14, then completely flipped the season. By late February, they had ripped off a 9-game winning streak. By the end of March, they had secured a play-in spot, and Kon became one of the clearest symbols of that shift. Because when a team flips its year, it usually happens when one of two things become real. Either a star starts controlling games at a higher level, or a team finds a skill that opponents can't solve. Charlotte has both. LaMelo still bent defenses with his vision. Brendan Miller still gave them another scoring wing to worry about, but Knueppel gave the offense something even more lethal. He gave it flexibility, and the latest milestone only made the season feel even bigger. On April 2nd, in a win over Phoenix, Knueppel hit 4 more threes to reach 261 on the year, passing Kemba Walker's previous Hornets franchise record of 260 set in 2019. He has already climbed past the best single-season three-point marks in franchise history, and he did it while leading the entire league in made threes. He is no longer just having one of the best shooting rookie seasons ever. He is authoring one of the best shooting seasons Charlotte has ever seen, regardless of age or experience. And this brings us to where we are now. This is no longer a question of whether Kon Knueppel can really shoot. That part is settled. Now the question is, how far can this go? Right now, he is not being talked about like a polished rookie who happened to land in a good situation. He is being talked about like one of the defining reasons Charlotte suddenly looks alive again. The Hornets are in the play-in picture, the young core makes sense, and Kon's shooting has become one of the main things opponents have to plan around every night. And this is still the early version. He's still learning the league, still learning how defenses want to run him off the line, and still learning how to handle a full 82-season game. Right now, the shot is what everyone sees first. But if the handle tightens, if the off-the-dribble scoring grows, and if the passing keeps developing, then this stops being a story about an elite young shooter and starts becoming the story of a complete offensive star. And those are the real questions now. Can he become the best shooter in the league one day? Can he become the offensive engine of Charlotte's next great team? Can he become a real NBA superstar? Those questions sound a lot less crazy than they did on draft night, because what looked like a safe pick has already turned into one of the boldest wins of the draft. And if this is only the beginning, then Charlotte did not just find a shooter. They may have found a player who can change the direction of the franchise. Kon Knueppel became the NBA's deadliest shooter, and this might only be the first chapter. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. How good do you think Kon Knueppel can really become? Thanks for watching.